Win number 33 for Fernando Alonso has been very, very elusive, and just when he seemed to have actually, had it slipped away. I'm talking about the just concluded Monaco Grand Prix. Alonso had a chance to win thanks to the rain, but a wrong call from the team might have cost him said win. Keep on watching as we take a look at what transpired on the streets of Monaco. This year's Monaco Grand Prix definitely exceeded expectations, we'll say. It challenged its reputation as one of the most boring races of the year for its uneventful and procession-like nature. But this time around, we got some action on the track, both in qualifying and during the last third of the race. It was good action, more than we could have expected. Qualifying action and drama started with a crash from Sergio Perez, who had his worst weekend this season, delegating him to the back of the grid for the race. It was a nail-biting moment for all of us who, watched the session. And if you weren't on the edge of your seat at some point during this session, I wonder what is exciting for you. Anyways, drivers were pushing their limits, they were taking risks, they left nothing on the table, especially in the last 5 minutes of quarter 3. We had 4 provisional pole sitters, starting with Esteban Ocon, who was 1/10 of a second faster than Max Verstappen previous lap. Next was Charles Leclerc, who was 0.08 of a second up on Ocon. Then Alonso, just 0.02 of a second up on Leclerc, and finally Verstappen, whose performance was especially impressive as he managed to clinch the pole position. The highlight for most of us was his third sector on his last run. In the first and second sectors, he was 0.2 of a second off of Alonso, but in the last sector, he managed to get 0.3 up on Alonso. So, yeah, Max brushed and kissed the walls of Monaco quite a few times as he botted the barriers away and tried to get his RB19 some more room. So it's beyond me how he did that and got away with it, His precision is just on another level. A few centimeters off, and it would have been the same case as his teammate Perez. When it came to the race, strategy was going to make or break a driver's race, as there were very few chances to overtake. For the race, Alonso started off with the hard tire, while Verstappen and Ocon started behind him with their grippier medium tire. This was an international tactical risk taken by Aston Martin. The plan was to play the long game by doing the first long stint on the hards. And when Verstappen's medium tires began to wear off, Alonso would then gain a few seconds. However, Verstappen's ability to run on his medium tires for such a prolonged period of time negated Aston Martin's aggressive strategy because Alonso was unable to effectively compete for the lead off the line as a result of that decision. Luckily, the rain provided Alonso with another opportunity to secure a win. It started raining on lap 51, and that was the beginning of the chaos that ensued. On lap 54 of 78, Aston Martin boxed Alonso for medium tires. At the time of the pit stop, most of the track was dry, but after that stop, the weather got worse. So, the 2-time world champion was forced to return to the pits following that lap to switch to intermediate tires, costing him precious time to catch up to Verstappen. On the other hand, Verstappen was only required to make one pit stop because he had pitted for intermediate tires. The team principal at Aston Martin, Mike Crack, provided an explanation for why the dry tires were chosen over the intermediates. And here's what he said. "We thought it was only a short shower. Our radar was not very good because we didn't expect any, actually. And then it came, and it came much, much more than we were anticipating. So, we had to come in because of the hard tires. They already had a lot of laps on them and they were starting to cool down. And then you really are just sliding. So we knew we had to come in. At this point in here, it wasn't raining yet, or it was a very small drizzle. And because also with the high ground temperature, it would dry up quickly again. So we decided to fit the mediums. As soon as Fernando had left, it started to come really heavy here, and we had to come in, unfortunately." Crack acknowledged that the team didn't believe the conditions were wet enough to support the inters because they hadn't anticipated the rain to worsen in the way that it did. "Honestly, we thought that we could go to the end with the mediums because it would dry quickly," he said. "But then we misjudged a bit that it was raining because in this part of the track, the pit lane, it took very long before it started to rain. Also, in this arena, it rained the least, so probably that was a bit of a misjudgment because we also thought that the inters would wear them down massively in this part of the track. So at the end of the day, it was a conscious decision to go on the mediums. And we saw then a lap later that it was not going to work, and we decided to call him back." When Alonso pitted, he was 24 seconds clear of the driver behind him. So whatever the outcome of the risk they took, they were not going to lose anything. Alonso backed up his boss's explanation of why they took the slick tires, and he said, "When I stopped, it was just raining in turns 5 and 7. The rest of the track was completely dry. The forecast we had was just a small shower and a few drops of rain. We didn't expect that amount of rain. For me, it was very clear that the track on that lap we stopped was completely dry, apart from turns 7 and 8, so how will I put on the inters? It was completely dry 99% of the track, so I stopped for dry tires. The weather forecast was a small shower and a small quantity of rain, as well as what we had as a team, and we thought we had a lot of margin behind us, to put the dry tires, and if necessary, the inter tires. So, maybe it was extra safe, I don't know. That minute and a half it took to go through turns 5, 6, 7, and 8 again, it changed completely. So, the lap out in the dry tires, it was very wet when I got to those corners, but yeah, the lap that we stopped, it was completely dry. Now the big question. Did the decision to put on the new set of medium tires cost Alonso a win? According to Alonso, the team's decision did not cost him a win. He said that Verstappen was all set to win the race and was fast throughout the race, so he didn't really stand a chance regardless. Crack also agreed that Alonso didn't lose the race with the call. No, I think it was just lost. Because if we had fitted intermediates, Max would have fitted intermediates too. And also, he had the gap, so I don't think it would have changed much. This was backed up by the evidence from the lap times of those who had fitted the intermediate tires before Alonso. The data indicated that they weren't in any way faster than the new slicks, hence they would have not helped Alonso close the gap on Verstappen and possibly overtake him. Alonso would have just been closer to Verstappen. Team principal Christian Horner believes that Red Bull would have been more under strain if Aston Martin had placed intermediates on Alonso at the initial stop. He said, "It felt as though we had gone through a lap too long before going on to the inter, and Fernando picked up the inter. It would have been much tighter and put more pressure on our pit stop. Thankfully, he took the slick tire just as the rain was growing, and at that point, it was important Max didn't take any risks and got it to the pits. When you're the lead car, you can only lose. You have nothing to gain. You've just got to try and work with the conditions. We have spotters out there, you're trying to look at the radar, looking at the crowd, and just trying to piece it together." The other question posed was whether Alonso would have won if there had been no rain, to which Alonso answered, "I think we didn't have a chance, to be honest. I think we were brave, and the strategy is not normal. You start on the first row of the grid, and you choose the hard tire. I try to do the opposite of the leaders." Alonso might have had the opportunity to square off against Verstappen and to end Red Bull's winning streak in 2023 at the finish line if the team had initially chosen the intermediate tires. On the other hand, had the rain not intensified, their strategy would have worked, and he would have caught Verstappen, but unfortunately it didn't work that way. What do you think? Could Alonso have won the race if he had pitted for intermediate? Let us know in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Formula One content. Yeah. I'll see you next time, and bye for now.